This is the next video in the Historic Ordnance series, and on this one we are going to be looking at the former East German PPM-2 low metallic anti-personnel mine. These things are no longer in production since the fall of the Soviet Union and the reunification of Germany. However, they are appearing in more and more countries across Africa and the Middle East. And I have a theory on the reason for that, which I will get into at the end. Now, this mine was produced in Germany under the designation PPM-2. They also licensed it to Communist China, and we do not have the designation from the Chinese of what they call it. And EOD and Intel sources refer to that mine as a model 1989, which means that's the first time, the year that it appeared on the Intel agency's radars. So likely though, it ended up in production in China probably in the late 70s, early 1980s. I do not know for certain when these entered service with the East German Army, the National Volksarmee, the NVA. But my guess is that it's probably late 1960s to mid 1970s. Now, some of the technicals on this: the diameter is 5 1/4 inches, height is 2 1/3 inches, weight is 13 ounces, of which 4 ounces is the explosive filler, and the explosive filler is TNT. This is a pressure activated mine, and it takes between 24 and 33 pounds to activate the pressure pad on top of the mine here. The general wound radius for the person who's not stepping on the mine is within 5 meters reportedly from EOD sources. These mines are black in color, made out of plastic. The very top here is made out of rubber. There is a metal clip on the side here, which I'm guessing that's for attaching to equipment so that you could carry it with you, or for maybe tying them together to pull a string of them across a roadway to blow out some tires on a vehicle. There is a metal disc inside the mine just below the pressure pad, which is removable. That disc would be some of the only metal that's inside there that could react to a metal detector. If that disc is removed, it becomes really low metallic when this clip is not in there. There is electronics on the inside, but as much as possible, these electronics are made out of materials that will not be picked up by a metal detector. Now, the emplacement life on these in the field is 5 years. At that 5-year mark, that's when the rubber on the pressure pad starts to degrade. Moisture can get inside and mess with the electronics. Now, this mine is unique in that it is electronic, but there is no battery inside. Reportedly, the pressure plate right below it is a piezo igniter. So when the pressure pad gets stepped on and activates, it pushes down this plunger here, which causes a spark on the piezo igniter crystal. That spark then gets transmitted through the wiring and sets off the detonator or blasting cap. Now, these mines have been found, or I got a big list of countries here, and I got it separated into 2 different lists. Now, these mines were sent to by the East German government and later the West German government after they took over East German stocks. They were sent to Angola, Cambodia, China, Egypt, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Iraq, Mozambique, Namibia, Somalia, South Africa, and Zambia. And since the late 1990s, they have also appeared in Lebanon, Yemen, Congo, Djibouti, Rwanda, and Chad. Now, there is another model of this mine to be aware of. The PPM-2 BT. This one, it looks like, was manufactured by the East German government, and this one has a anti-handling device inside it. And it kind of looks like that's the model that the Chinese copied, because their mines reportedly have a anti-handling device in them. And those anti-handling devices, how they work is, if the mine is taken out of the hole, if it's tilted around 30 degrees, the fuse inside will activate, setting off the mine. I do not have a shelf life of the battery inside those mines that would allow that to happen. All I could find is the designation and some bare minimum info on this. Now, the German government reports that they destroyed all existing stocks from the East German Army by 1996. That is when they reported to the United Nations that all those mines had been destroyed. They only have a couple dozen reportedly which are in storage, and those are used for testing of mine detection technology, new equipment. Now, installation on these mines. First off, you're going to go through, inspect the exterior of the mine. You're going to make sure that the rubber pad is not degraded, is not cracked. You're going to make sure the plastic casing is not damaged. Because this is a TNT filled mine, you're going to make sure that there is no leakage coming out from the casing, which would be nitroglycerin, indicating that the TNT filler is degrading. At that point, you are going to open up the mine, and it just unscrews. It's separated right here. There is a rubber gasket under here, so make sure not to damage the gasket. Separate the two halves, and you're going to check the inside. You're going to make sure there's no corrosion in here on the electronics. Now, if it passes inspection, it's good to go. You then have to put the detonator inside the mine. It does not come with it. The detonator is shipped separately in the crate that the mines come with. The detonators are inside small round metal tins reportedly. You open up that tin, pull out the detonator. You're then going to disconnect a gray wire that is connected to this terminal here at the end of the safety pin on the inside. You're going to disconnect it from there. You're going to connect the electric detonator to that wire. You're then going to put the electric detonator inside the holder, which is on the side over here inside the mine, and snap it into place. At that point, you are going to screw the top cover back onto the mine, and you're going to keep screwing it until there's 3 little plastic teeth somewhere here on the bottom ring and 3 teeth on the top here. When those 3 teeth lock together, the mine is sealed up and cannot be reopened. It is now then prepped, ready to be used. You take it out to the location where the mine is going to go. You can surface lay these, burying them in vegetation on a trail. Otherwise, dig a hole. If you dig the hole, it's just to the dimensions of the mine. Depth of the hole, maximum, top of the pressure plate. Then you will pull the safety pin from the mine. Once the pin is pulled, that is going to start the arming process. You will put the mine inside the hole, cover it up, camouflage it. Now, during the arming process, what happens? There is a lead block in here that cuts off the signal reaching from the igniter to the detonator. So once the safety pin is pulled, a wire starts chopping its way through that little lead block. And it takes between an hour and a half to 3 hours for that wire to make it all the way through the block, which then will allow the connection of the electric circuit. And it's just waiting for the spark to be sent by the igniter to the detonator. Reportedly in warmer temperatures, it takes an hour and a half. Colder temperatures, such as during winter, it can take 3 hours. I do not have a temp range on this mine for what it does at those temps. What is the temp for the hour and a half? What is the coldest temp for the 3 hour? These mines are non-recoverable and reusable, because the top cover will lock to the bottom cover, and those teeth, once they're connected, they're not going to come undone. It's locked together. But there is notes from deminers when they're clearing these. What you can do, if you're removing them and you're stacking them up for destruction, after the mine is out of the hole, do not put pressure on the pressure pad. Take a knife and cut the pressure pad off. That will give you access to the inside. Once you have access to the inside, you will pull the detonator and disconnect it from the wire. That neutralizes the mine, allows it to be handled safely until it can be taken to a location and blown up. That's if you cannot destroy them where they're sitting. Now, my theory on what's going on why these are starting to appear in more and more countries since 2000. My suspicion is a lot of these mines that are being reported in new areas where they're popping up, these mines, their source is most likely Communist China or the People's Republic of China. The reason for that, this is a mine that they were licensed to produce, so they were already in production. They already have the blueprints for them. They were already producing them. So how hard would it be for them to make them exactly according to the East German blueprints, leaving out that self-destruct, and making sure that the markings, which are on the bottom of the mine, are the German markings and not the Chinese markings. And then you pack them inside crates that are similar to what the East Germans used. And since existing stocks of those mines were destroyed in Germany almost 30 years ago, how many people would recognize that the box, the crate that it's come in, doesn't look right, that it doesn't look like the one from the East German arsenals? Who would notice that, hey, the marking on the side is in a slightly wrong position, or it's the wrong font, the wrong size, that type of thing. So, because it's real easy to produce mines in 2024, put dates on the bottom saying it was produced in the 70s or the 1980s, pack it inside a box, and then you stencil on the outside of the box that the production date was 1982 or 1979. That deminer, when they come through, they're just going to recognize the mine. They're going to recognize it as, oh, this is an East German PPM-2. They're not going to know that it's the Chinese model. They're not going to look that closely to look for any indications that this isn't the East German one. And the reason I say that I think a lot of these are coming out of China, is because the areas where these mines are being found now, the new locations like Yemen, those areas are also getting stocks of Chinese landmines at the same time, such as claymores and anti-tank mines. And these were particular models that were not in the inventory of the armies of that country before that conflict began. So how hard would it be for the Chinese to send in some crates that, you know, have East German markings on it on the same ship that's bringing in mines with Chinese markings? A way to muddy the waters as to the source of the different ordnance that's coming into the conflict zone. These mines are out there. They are on the international arms market. They are still usable because of age. Yes, it's kind of iffy, but as long as the TNT is not degraded, they are still usable. So there you go. The German PPM-2 low metallic anti-personnel mine. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot militia movements, always remember essay-ons.